AM5 upgrades save money when you match the CPU tier to your monitor and real workload today. Most people upgrade the CPU first, then realize the GPU was the limit the whole time anyway. So this is a simple AM5 upgrade path that avoids regret, waste, and random internet drama completely. Start with the monitor, because resolution and refresh decide what the CPU must deliver every single day. At 108 OP high refresh, the CPU and RAM decide smoothness far more than the GPU does. At 144 OP, the GPU usually limits first, but weak 1% lows still ruin the feel badly. At 4K, the GPU dominates almost everything, so CPU upgrades often feel smaller in real games. Next, write your top 5 games, because each title stresses the system differently in real practice. Competitive shooters want low latency, stable frames, and clean 1% lows under constant pressure. Open world games want smooth frame times, fast asset streaming, consistent boosts, and fewer background spikes overall. Now define your real pain: stutter, hitching, inconsistent input, or low 1% lows during fights. If your average FPS is high, but motion feels rough, you're chasing the wrong metric for upgrades. Smoothness is frame times first, then 1% lows, then average FPS last, every single time. Before buying anything, confirm you're not suffering from a fake bottleneck created by simple basics. Check RAM first. One stick can cause stutter even with a strong CPU and GPU installed. AM5 likes stable dual-channel memory, so use 2 sticks and keep settings boringly reliable daily. Check storage next. A nearly full SSD causes hitching when games stream textures and shaders constantly. Keep real free space, because Windows updates, caches, and shader builds need breathing room to behave. Update chipset drivers and BIOS, because stability fixes often improve frame time consistency and reduce stutter. Also update GPU drivers cleanly, especially after major upgrades, and remove old leftovers when switching brands. Now check temperatures, because a hot CPU boosts lower and feels weaker than it should under load. If your cooler is weak, a better CPU won't feel better until cooling improves and stays consistent. Set a realistic target FPS based on your monitor and games, not on marketing slides or hype. For 144Hz monitors, a stable 120 to 144 feels better than a spiky 170 in practice. For 240Hz esports setups, stability above 200 matters more than occasional peaks that come and go. Now use a simple test to detect CPU limits. Watch GPU usage during your worst, busiest scenes. If GPU usage drops while FPS drops, the CPU, RAM, or background tasks are limiting you. If GPU usage stays high and frame times look clean, a CPU upgrade won't change much at 144 OP. Background apps can steal frame time, so close overlays, launchers, and recorders while you test properly. Also check power plans and motherboard limits, because they can cap boost behavior silently without warning. Now pick your upgrade lane: value lane, high refresh lane, or creator lane for mixed workloads. Value lane fits most 144 OP gamers, where GPU price to performance matters most for years, not weeks. High refresh lane fits esports players who want stable input feel, fast frames, and low latency daily. Creator lane fits editing, streaming, and multitasking, where extra cores actually save time every week. If you are value lane, choose a sensible AM5 CPU tier and invest the rest into GPU performance. If you are high refresh lane, Prioritize CPU tier, stable RAM, and low latency settings that stay stable. If you are creator lane, prioritize cores, but don't ignore gaming smoothness, cooling, and noise control. Timing matters. Upgrade only when you feel limits, not when you feel bored or jealous online. Upgrade when 1% lows are weak, stutter appears, and input feels inconsistent during crowded fights. Upgrade when the CPU pegs while the GPU has headroom in your top games repeatedly. Do not upgrade when the GPU is max and frame times are already smooth at 144 OP settings. In that case, spend on GPU SSD capacity or quieter cooling that improves daily comfort instead. Here's a safe AM5 plan that works for most builders without constant retuning or drama. Pick a mid-tier CPU that matches your monitor and does not choke your chosen GPU in games. Pair it with stable dual-channel RAM and avoid unstable overclocks because reliability beats bragging rights. Use an SSD with real free space because full drives create hitching, slower updates, and weird delays. Use cooling that keeps temperatures controlled so boost clocks stay consistent in long gaming sessions. Confirm PSU headroom because transient spikes can cause crashes that look like CPU or RAM problems. Also confirm case airflow because heat soak makes both CPU and GPU behave worse over time. Don't forget memory training. If boot times are weird, update BIOS and let RAM retrain once. Keep expo settings stable. Chasing extreme timings can cause micro stutter that feels like CPU weakness. Check Windows Power Mode. Balance often feels smoother than aggressive modes that spike clocks unpredictably. Disable unnecessary startup launchers because background updaters can steal CPU time during competitive matches easily. Watch DPC latency sources like audio suites and RGB apps because they can create random input hiccups. For streaming, test encoder load. A heavy encoder preset can lower 1% lows in CPU-limited games. If you use capture cards, update drivers because outdated capture software can add background CPU spikes. For virtualization users, ensure Hyper-V matches your needs because it can affect a few games occasionally. After upgrades, clear shader caches once because old caches can cause stutter in a few titles. Finally, log frame times with one tool because consistent measurement stops you from chasing ghosts forever. Now budget correctly. Set a full system budget, not a CPU-only budget that ignores essentials. Because RAM, storage, PSU, and cooling decide how smooth the PC feels every single day. A strong CPU inside a messy system still stutters, loads slowly, and ramps noise for no reason. Balance wins because it improves every session, not just one benchmark screenshot for your ego. Here is the quick buying checklist you should follow before spending money today, without exceptions. 1. Monitor resolution and refresh, because that defines your real target and upgrade priorities immediately. 2. Top 5 games and settings, because that defines the workload you actually run every week. 3. Target FPS and feel, because smoothness goals beat raw averages every time you play. 4. Current pain type, because stutter, hitching, and latency require different fixes and testing paths. 5. RAM mode and stability, because dual channel and stable timings protect frame times during spikes. 6. SD free space, because asset streaming hates full drives and random background writes at once. 7. Temperatures, because hot silicon boosts lower and creates inconsistent performance under long gaming loads. 8. Background apps, because overlays and recorders can steal frame time without warning during live gameplay. If those basics are solid, your AM5 CPU choice becomes simple, predictable, and hard to regret. If basics are not solid, fix them first, then retest before buying anything new at all. Quick recap: match CPU to monitor, pick a lane, and upgrade only when you feel limits clearly. Follow and subscribe for no-regret upgrade planning that saves money, time, and frustration every week. Comment your CPU, GPU, monitor, and top 5 games, and I'll recommend the best lane quickly.